Yeah.
Good old-fashioned curveball.
Yeah, so if we were starting curveball, right? Yep, I'm right there with John. Yeah, curveball for me, I wouldn't recommend throwing these at a far distance, honestly. Like for me, short distance type of spin feel, something where you got, he's not going to get hurt doing it. You're just really short distance. You can offset the feet if you want to emphasize the sequencing of the arm. If you want to pivot pick style or, take the legs out entirely, whatnot, or a slight step into it, however you want to utilize. But yeah, I strongly recommend kind of going to the finger gun, just really emphasizing the middle finger on it. It's also just a nice conversation tool of talking to the player on which horseshoe to use. You know what I mean? So rather than having to check a machine constantly, which horseshoe to use on the seam orientation. And then it's also another conversation of where are you getting the pressure from? Do you want it from that fingertip? And we use that, there's that little indentation of that middle line. So that can actually provide you as the coach a little bit of a conversation of, hey, get your fingertip to that right side of that line. Now let's get the fingertip. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it gives them different visual, pressure points to go with. Even spiking it is a great way, to throw this as well. But I strongly recommend just taking the index finger completely off, because I'm sure, as you guys know, that's the easiest way to add front spin. The spike or just the Wainwright, just taking the thing totally off. That's how you can really get it rolling. So that for me is the spin feel. The money maker, for us has honestly been the slider development with this. And I think sliders get really complicated, and, you see the results of the pitch and it has a certain shape. So most pitchers think, okay, well, I've got to mirror that shape with my arm and really yank around it. And honestly, it causes either like an early pop or early break out of hand, and there's just not a lot of velo behind the pitch. And so,
are you holding it like this then?
So the way I would throw it with that is, this is what's fun about sliders and interesting about it is most people, if you were thinking through like pitch characteristics or whatnot, would assume sliders would have, kind of that 8 o'clock spin direction, some negative vertical break. But from a general arm slot, the best sliders are honestly ones that actually still have backspin to them. So they have that lower vertical break. You're driving it into that 2 to 5 range. Like the closer you can get to 0, awesome. But it's basically, if you can add backspin, that's how you get that pitch to hold its line longer, break later, and it's harder. I mean, my goodness, you don't want to much more than that. But so if you start with, you're holding your fastball here, right? And then if you wanted to train a total gyro pitch, so a straight bullet spinner that would just go straight down, you would turn it perpendicular to your finger line and just be ripping down off of the side. Now, if you have a kid that's really struggling, I'm not a huge fan of the gyro pitch. I'm not a huge fan of training that. What I would recommend training is take it here, here's straight on, here's perpendicular, go about 45 degrees in between the two, okay? And from right there, you're basically telling them, hey, rip down, for a righty, draw a little bit J, little L, and you're trying to backspin rip this thing. And what's beautiful is the way our guy designed this, the pitch will actually slide if you throw it correctly.
Right.
If you don't throw it correctly, it's just going to kind of wobble and not do a whole lot. But if you can get that pitch to where as it's spinning, you're going to have this side, the nose pointing up slightly, okay? That's going to help it slide across.
To go back, though,